Welcome to the Magdalene Voices, giving voice to those silenced for centuries through sacred conversations with beautiful, illuminating souls. I'm your host, spiritual business coach, mentor, catalyst, and facilitator Mariaestela. I serve spiritual entrepreneurs, Magdalene's rising, and radiant beings just like you with the expansion and growth of yourself and your business, aligning you with your deep inner truth, bringing to life that which you're here to birth, and supporting you in expressing your soul's divine purpose through your being and your doing in this lifetime. If you haven't already, I highly encourage you to join my newsletter to stay connected and updated. You can do so on my website, Mariaestela.com, where you can also find previous episodes and their show notes. And if you have ever wondered about your Magdalene connection and calling, and whether you are a Magdalene, I invite you to download the free Magdalene blueprint I've created for you. Go to mariaestela.com/AYM to get it. Finally, if you're a soul-driven, heart-based spiritual entrepreneur, don't forget to check out my new podcast, Spiritual Business with Mariaestela. It's designed to inspire you, empower you, guide you, nurture you, and activate you. You can find it on YouTube as well as everywhere podcasts are broadcasted, or simply click the link in the show notes. Hello, Radiant Ones, my dear Magdalenes. I hope you are holding on to your horses because I am actually, while I have the theme, the goddess is really strong today. There is a deep pull for this to share more about this. And it's so interesting how things seem to flow, because earlier this week I shared on my other podcast, Spiritual Business with Mariaestela, I shared an episode about visibility and the witch wound, and that seems to have been really bringing up a lot of recognition for a lot of people, and in that I also shared about briefly about old paradigm versus new paradigm, and so it was clear to me that I needed to expand on that topic. So that's what we're going to be diving in today, the old paradigm versus the new paradigm, and how we as Magdalenes are the midwives of the birthing of that new paradigm. And when I say we, I mean you and I. So if you're listening or watching, know that I am looking at you. I am talking to you. This is for you. This is basically for you. It's for us. But before I dive into it, I just want to share that there is now less than 1 week. I think there is 4 or 5 days left to sign up for my 6-week healing journey for soul-driven, heart-based spiritual entrepreneurs. It's called Mastery Through Love, and it is essentially everything that the new paradigm is. So if you're someone who's been working on yourself for quite a while, perhaps within your personal life, but have not yet made that work shift into your business, this is for you. We're going to be over 6 weeks diving deep into dissolving fears and expanding love, and basically everything that you will hear that the new paradigm entails in this episode. So if that calls you or you're curious, make sure that you go to mariaestela.com/journey to check it out. And last date to sign up is on Wednesday, the 27th of February. And we begin next Friday, March 1st. And I'm super excited and thrilled for those beautiful, radiant Magdalenes who are making their way into this collective. Okay, with that out of the way, as I mentioned, you and I as a Magdalene is part of that soul group who have come here to be the midwives of a new paradigm. And the new paradigm is based in love. It is for love, it's by love, it's with love. Love is at the core of that. And that means that you have made the journey from your mind into your heart, and it is from your heart that you are making your decisions. You may or may not be there yet, but know this: if you have been called into this podcast, if you've been called into this show, then my, I don't know if it's belief or my claim will be that you have an aspect of what I call the Magdalene, and you also belong to the soul group that are the Magdalenes. As I said, those who've come here to be the midwives. Now, being a midwife doesn't mean that it's easy, nor does it mean that you are flowing necessarily to begin with. And also, you may or may not have, quote unquote, I don't want to say fully arrived, because to me it's not a destination, so to speak. It's not like you take these steps and then you get there. It's actually more a lifting of the veils to reveal what you already are, who you have always been, and who you will always be. You know, that part of you that is interchangeable. There is one of my favorite quotes from A Course in Miracles, talks about how you cannot sell your soul, but you can sell your awareness of it. And coming into this world, I don't want to say that we've sold the awareness of our souls, but we have lost our awareness of it. And so the journey as a Magdalene is really in revealing, in uncovering, in unveiling what has always been, will always be, and what is at this very moment. So there's nothing that you quote unquote need there. Like everything that you need in order to take your next step is already seated within you. It lies within you. And I know that this can be, frustrating as hell to hear if you're in a place where a lot of darkness is currently residing. If that's where you're at, know this: there is light, my love. There is light, and we're there with you. You may not see us, you may not hear us, you may not feel us, you may not sense us, but trust me, we are there holding the space for you as you walk through this. I love you, and we all love you, and you are doing this for a reason, even if it may not seem like it at the moment. So know that you're loved. I love you. So in terms of old paradigm, new paradigm, I thought I would start out by saying, kind of give you an idea of what is the old paradigm and what is the new paradigm. And I'm sure that by the time that we're through with this, it won't be, this won't be necessarily a teaching in the sense that I will teach you something new. I will just be reteaching you, letting you know what you probably already know, because usually that's what I hear from you when you, send these delightful emails and comments to me, is that there is a recognition in what I share. And I love hearing from you. So know that. So in terms of the old paradigm, one of the main premises is that it is based in fear. But very often when it comes to fear, it's not necessarily a clear-cut feeling of fear. Fear can show up in a ton of different disguises, and usually fear shows up in the most valid excuses, the most valid reasons for not doing X, Y, and Z, or for not being X, Y, and Z. So fear, when I say fear, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're sitting in your bed holding onto your pillow and being scared of something. It can be that there is simply a resistance, or there is an aversion, or there is a projection, or a victimization, or you simply consider yourself to be lacking X, Y, and Z, because then you can't do that, rather than, flipping it and saying, like, what can I do with what I have currently? So when I talk about fear, know that it's like a sneaky, it sneaks in different areas, and we don't really notice that it's fear until, we've walked with it for a while, and then it's become apparent, and it's like, oh, this is actually fear. So the old paradigm is, the basic premise is being based in fear. It is also very personal in terms of me. So it's like me and me and me. Like, what can I get? What can I have? What's for me? There's no consideration for the collective, or for the collective, or for, any of the other realms. There's no regard for the animal realm, or the plant realm, or the earthly realm, or the realms that we cannot see. So there's really not, it's more a matter of, what can I get from you so that I have more? It's also the lack mentality, thinking that when I take something, then you have less and I have more. That's also in that. And just to be clear, and I've said this over and over again, but I keep repeating it because at some point someone will not have heard the other things, and they will think that this is what I mean. I don't mean that you can't get rich. I don't mean that you shouldn't have nice things, or live in nice places, and have a nice car, nice clothes, nice jewelry. I don't mean in that sense. I mean that in the sense that you have, when it comes to the old paradigm, there's really no regard for any other ones. So you take what you want and can, without any regard for other people, other animals, other plants. You just take what you can have, thinking that that will bring you pleasure. And if you're a Magdalene, my claim, or my not belief, but my experience is that most likely you've had it all. You've tried it. You've had all of those things, and they didn't bring you the pleasure, or the joy, or the satisfaction. So you have gone through dark nights of your soul, you've had rude awakenings, and you've come to the understanding that, yes, it's nice to have nice things, it's nice to live in a right place, and it's nice to all these things, but those are not the ones that truly, ultimately brings you the deep satisfaction. That is something that comes from within and then expands out. So that's in terms of the personal. If you're in a business, it doesn't even have to be business, because I have Magdalenes who are not necessarily in business, but there's a competition mindset in the old paradigm. There is a competition mindset, again, that relates back to a lack mentality, or a lack mindset, thinking that if I have more, then you have less, and being in competition with the world, basically. And when you're in that mindset, you're basically in competition with everyone. And if you take a moment to stop and actually acknowledge what's going on, you can hear just how insane it is, because you are unique, you are special, you are magnificent, you are radiant. As am I, and as is the third person and the fourth person, as is the whole world. So you being special and unique doesn't take away from anyone else being special and unique. It simply comes from a place of love, which is what the new paradigm is, but more about that later. So there is this competition, and I want to say, like I said, it's not just about in your business. This can be, if you're in school, it can be that. It could be in your workplace if you're working. It could be in your church. Hell, it can be, doing yoga or CrossFit, or when you're dancing Zumba, or whatever it is that you do. My invitation is that you take a notice of when you are because in the, within the competition, there can also be judgment, even not just in that, but there can be judgment. So it's always, when are you judging the world and falling short? And if this is not something that you worked with before, 9 out of 10 times you will be the one, you will have the short end of the stick. You will be the one who's actually, you'll be the one who's left lacking. And so it's a lack mentality. And you can become as good at whatever sport it is, or, do as many things to be nice at your church, or, and it will never, ever, ever take away from the emptiness and the hollowness that having that lack mentality or mindset leaves you with. So, and if you're someone who's in business, having a shit ton of followers on, whatever social media platform you're on, or newsletter subscribers or likes or whatever, won't ever take away from the hollowness and the emptiness that is within. So unless you work on that, and when I say work with that or work on that, it means expanding love, dissolving fears, again, coming back to lifting the veils and seeing what you truly are. Because if you're in that mentality, you're actually looking at, you're looking from the outside in. You're not really connected. You're not really in your true essence, which is within you at every moment of every day. There's always that possibility to return to what you truly are. It's not something that is outside of yourself. Another thing that is very apparent within the old paradigm is abuse. And I mentioned this briefly when I talked about the animals and the plant and our earth. Essentially, we're in this old paradigm of, again, me. Like, what can I get? Okay, I will plow the fields and not care that, taking down the trees then stops the flow of water, or, stops the oxygen. I won't care that, chopping down trees actually removes, vast amounts of insects and birds. And if you're in the tropics or places where there are, animals, like, we don't care. I want to say you, but we don't care about that. It's about, there's an abuse going on of our animal and plant kingdom that is, like, when you truly stop to think about it, it is unreal. Like, it's unreal. And for me, this has been a journey of expanding love, and yes, I do consider myself to be a 90% vegan, and no, I don't consider myself to be like necessarily an activist. But once you see, you cannot unsee, and once you begin to understand how we are abusing animals, how we are abusing the earth for our sake, then, at least to me, there came a time when I couldn't be a part of that anymore. So I try to do my best, and I am not perfect in any way, shape, or form. But I try to do my best. And for me, that seed was planted from that choice that I made. I want to say, what it is now, 10, 11 years ago now, my choice for love. That was what began with. I wanted to expand, and I'm pretty sure I've shared this on the podcast and on the show before, is that the choice began really with a choice for love. And I, of course, being me, thought, okay, well, the clouds will part, the heavens will open, angels will descend, rose petals will be strewn, and my life will just be, flow in abundance and just walking in on cloud nine, purple and pink pastel. That's what I thought. I didn't realize that, there's work to do. And so it's been a cleansing and a clearing and a cleaning out of all of those limiting beliefs of everything that was out of, alignment, everything that was out of resonance, everything that was not working. And because of that choice, and I've done that through love. So I can't remember if I've shared this with you before, but when I becoming quote unquote vegan was never, it wasn't a conscious choice for me. It wasn't something that I sat down and decided that I wanted to do. It has just been a continual expansion, because that's what happened when you make the choice for love. It's a continual expansion that happens in a soft and well, I say soft, but going through dark nights of your soul and having rude awakenings are not soft. They're tough as nails, and requires everything of you. But it also, you may know this, but I don't see us as being tested ever by quote unquote the universe or by God. I see us as being strengthened. I see us, whenever we come up against a challenge, I see us finding our strength. I see us building our strength and becoming the powerful, magnificent, radiant beings that you and I are. So when you make that choice for love, that is the ripple effect that happens, and so it expands and it continues to expand for me. It's not. At least I don't know. Maybe it'll stop one day. I don't know, but it's a continued effect. It's also what I see in the clients that I work with. Once you made that choice, in the beginning, things can actually start to get worse before they get better and better and better, because you are expanding continuously in love. So that was about the abuse of things. And then, there's this forcefulness within the old paradigm of forcing, of coercing, of manipulating, of again, it goes back to me, getting what I want and doing whatever it takes to get it. And I don't really care about, who's hurt or, who's killed or maimed or whatever for me getting what I want. So that's the old paradigm. And I'm just checking in to see if I want to dive into giving you. I think we're gonna go to the new paradigm, and once I've gone through the new paradigm, I also in that want to give you some tools and some check-ins so that you can begin implementing this. No, because part of you is already living this paradigm. Part of you know what I'm about to say, and part of you know. You've lived this reality, in whether it be in other realms or past lives or whatever, you've lived this reality. And because the old paradigm, the way that I see it, it's connected to the patriarchy. And it's about 5,000 years old, and there's something about the new age and so forth as well. So you and I both know that we go back, past that. Or you may be a completely new soul. I just had someone the other day ask about, if nothing comes up in past life regressions, or like I don't see anything in that, is that because I'm a new soul? And you can be a new soul. Maybe you haven't had past regressions in this lifetime. Someone who is near and dear to my heart who actually speaks to this is Simran Golay. I'll link to her in my in the show notes, so you can, or on the blog post, so you can go check her out. I love and adore Simran. And she speaks a lot about star seeds and earth seeds and new souls versus old souls and so forth. So you can get that there. Yeah. Okay, so the new paradigm, yay, let's move into that. So the new paradigm is based, of course, in love. And if you've been with me for a while, you'll know that to me, God is love. I don't see God as a person or an entity. I see God as energy. I see God as being the energy that you and I are made of. It's our source. And so God to me is love, because that's what we're made of. We're made of everything that is within the universe. We of course have choice, and that's why you in this world see, if that's one of your questions, why do we in this world see people who are so stuck in their old ways or stuck in the old paradigm? Well, it's a choice, and sometimes it's not necessarily a conscious choice. Maybe sometimes it's actually a contract that's been fulfilled. That's what they have to go through in this lifetime. So also being in the new paradigm, a big part of that is also allowing other people to be walking their own journeys. I remember in the beginning when I think this was actually most apparent when I did my coach training. I had my sister in one phone call tell me, listen, I want my sister back. I don't want to be coached. And I was like, oh, I was coaching her because I wanted, like, what I was getting. I wanted so much to give it to her, but there was a big lessening understanding that, people come to me and pay for my services. Those are the ones that want what I have and they actually want to implement and do the work. My sister, not to say that my sister is unconscious, she's not at all. I love my sister dearly. She is someone who I've walked many, many lifetimes with, and someone who I feel deeply, deeply blessed to actually, I can't even say this without getting emotional. I I feel very blessed for actually having a sister like the one that I have in this lifetime. I understand that I real you know I may have had my issues with my parents, and I did also with my sister, but with my sister it's different because there is a soul connection that is far beyond anything else that I've ever experienced. She is on, I consider her to be quote unquote a soulmate on a soul level. And I'm very, very blessed for having her in my life. I remember realizing when other people didn't feel the way about their siblings that I did. And it was like, oh, because to me, just, having my little sister is, yeah, it's a blessing. I can't even remember why I went there, but it was about how I was trying to push my what I was getting and receiving and learning onto her, and you can't push anyone towards the experiences or the awakenings or the transformation that you're having. They have to walk their own path. So part of being part of that new paradigm is to be, you know, to be a beacon of light. When I say beacon of light, I don't mean that in perfection sense, because that can also seem like you're supposed to be like, it seems so beacon of light, like, but it's about speaking your truth. It's about clearing out your shit. It's about, sharing yourself with the world in a way that's right for you, whether that is to be, like I am a spiritual business coach and a teacher and a mentor, catalyst, or a facilitator, or that if that simply is to be a stay at home mom and work with your kids, or it is working a 9-to-5 job. It doesn't really have to look like this, like I do. So just, it doesn't have to necessarily be big and bold or have an external appearance. It can simply just be in your everyday life. That's where you live the new paradigm. So understand that. Understand that it does. And so number one, don't push it onto other people. If, imagine you being force fed with something. Would you, run towards it, or would you run away from it? Chances are, and I've found that the more I stay within my space, it's like the one from Dirty Dancing. This is my space, this is your space. And the people who are old enough to know this will be laughing by now, but you know how he stands there and he goes, this is my space and this is your space. And the more you stand within your space, the more those that are willing to come into that space and who want what you have, they actually see you. And that's what I found so incredible. Because, and again, to use my sister as an analogy, once I stopped sharing, she came looking for information. So again, that's, in the old paradigm, you force feed people, you push people, you push it onto them. While in the new paradigm, you connect with the love that you are, and you allow yourself to be quote unquote a beacon of light, and that will bring in those people. I've seen from several of my clients, what happens is when you do that, you become, I call it a honeypot. People can't help, but they don't know you maybe, or they don't, but they know that you have something that they want. And so they're drawn to you, in certain ways. So that's within the new paradigm. And like I said, it's based in love, and it's based in oneness, and it's based in connection, and it's where in the old paradigm it was based in personal gain. This is where you have the eye for the collective as well. Now, when I say that in terms of the collective, I don't mean that you become a doormat and let yourself be walked all over. That's not what I mean. It's that you understand that what you do, the work that you do, is not only for you, it's also for the collective, and your way of being, your way of doing actually serves a higher purpose and serves the collective, even when the collective, quote unquote, doesn't necessarily want it. Meaning that, you probably have people within your close family, or, if you have a business that, within your business, that you probably have people who don't understand what you do, who doesn't necessarily want any part of it. But being part of the new paradigm means understanding, again, leave people to their own path and to their own journeys, and understand that no matter what you're doing, it serves a higher good, and it's for the collective. One important note I want to make for white women, white spiritual women, is if you're not, is to be aware of what I call the white. It's called something. I'm not sure if this is the right word that I'm using, but it is about white being a white savior, and white supremacy, and it's about. So what I want you to make sure is that you check in with yourself before you run out and think that you're helping a minority or indigenous cultures or people of color, because as white women and as white people, we have been conditioned to believe that we are superior. We've been conditioned to believe that we have this end all solution to all things, and we don't. It is a belief that's been installed in us through the patriarchy. So when I say that we're serving the collective, I don't mean that you take a journey to Africa and start helping babies, but maybe you can fund someone going to Africa, or maybe you can fund something there. It's very important that we, especially as white women, check in. And there are plenty of resources available to you online now where you can help unravel that, because once you start digging in and realize just how deep that goes. One example for me was, and I think I've shared this before, but one example for me, I'm born and raised in Denmark. We did we oppress, or I don't know what the right word is, but Greenland is part of quote unquote Denmark, or it's separate, but it's still connected to it. So one of the things that when I was beginning my journey, not, my awakening journey in terms of white supremacy and white saviorism, was, I need to help them get their own government, their own voting rights. They have their own government, but I wanted to help them be free of Denmark, not taking a moment to stop and realize or research, did they actually want this? And once I did, I realized that most people in Greenland don't really want that. They're probably working towards it, but for now it wouldn't serve them. So that's one of the ways that, my immediate thought was I need to do this. Well, no, I don't. I need to sit back and check in. I need to listen and see how I can support without centering myself. So that's just one thing that's very important in terms of serving the highest, serving the collective, and so forth. If you're white, make sure that you check in, that there's not white saviorism or white supremacy going on. And that actually, to me, relates back to Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, because if you look at the way that Yeshua is being portrayed in many, I think in most photos or depictions, he's depicted as white, even though he was born and raised in the Middle East. And so to me, he would have looked like a Middle Eastern man. There's no way that he could have been. And again, I understand that from a From a star race and so forth perspective, yes, he could have, but in terms of the way that Christianity has been used when it comes to white supremacy and the patriarchy, it's just, yeah, no. So go. I know I went on a rant there, but it's very important to me, because there are so many of us who are not woke when it comes to that area. So when it comes to the collective and when it comes to the serving the highest of all, make sure that those that you are trying to serve, you're actually serving from the right place and they actually want what you're serving them with. Secondly, living from that paradigm, the new paradigm of love, that also means justice for all. It means that there is an acknowledgement, there is a forgiveness, there is an asking for forgiveness, there is a cleanup happening that has to happen in terms of what we've quote unquote done in the past. And again, I know that from a spiritual level, you may have been another soul and you may have had another color or another shape or whatever. But in this lifetime, if you've come in white, then it is for you to really unravel that and to make sure that you support the unraveling of suppression of minorities, of, racism. And that is part of that new paradigm. Anyone who thinks or says that it's not, and we're just about oneness and we're just about, hallelujah, that's spiritual bypassing. And that's not, if that's what you're for, you've come to the wrong place, but you're still here. So I'm expecting that you actually recognize parts of what I'm saying, at least. So like I say, it's about justice for all. It's about liberation. And as a Magdalene, that is what you came for. That is the work that you came for. You came to support that. You came to support the liberation of all. You came to support the justice of all. You came to support the serving of the highest good for all and for the collective, and to bring us into oneness. And that's not just to bring us into oneness with human beings. It's also animals and plants and water and earth. And it's about all of the elements, and it's about quote unquote all of the beings. And so it's about, unlaying yourself, or unveiling, and removing the muck that hinders your sight. In terms of what you can do, personally, like on a personal level, and I know that I said that the personal level was within the old paradigm. In this, that's not what I mean. On a personal level, if you're someone who wants to invite in the new paradigm more, first of all, I invite you to choose love. That's make it a habit every day, every hour, to say I choose love. And then the lessons that you invite in will be brought to you. And when that shows up, that's for you to clear. When challenges arise, that's for you to clear and to come from a loving, kind, and caring, compassionate space. And don't think that you need to run out and do it in every area of your life or your business. Like I said, in Mastery Through Love, if you're ready for that, in Mastery Through Love, my 6-week healing journey, that's the work that we do within your business. We dissolve fear and expand love within your business. But if it is on a personal level in terms of your life, then, take a moment after this, after you've listened, sit down and maybe journal for a little bit and let yourself be guided in terms of, where am I currently living in the old paradigm? And if your list is long, don't despair. That just means that you've got work to do. And if your list is not that long, that still means that you've got work to do. And I still have work to do in areas as well where I am cleaning up old paradigm, that because it's so ingrained as is. Like I started out by saying, fear, it seems so valid. It seems like those things that are valid. So I invite you to have like a beginner's mindset, a learner's mind, like become a detective in your life and look for the remnants of that paradigm. I am just checking in to see if there's more that's coming through, because it feels like, there was a lot, and I'm not even sure how we've gone to almost 40 minutes and I've just talked. I told you that the goddess was strong today, and I told you that she was really wanting to join us. No. That's what I had for you today. If you have a question or a comment, something you don't understand, if you'd like to join Mastery Through Love, you can do that. Leave me a comment on the blog post. I will leave a link to it in the show notes. Yes, and know that I am here for you, and know that, as I said, you are loved, and I love you. Take care. That is what I had for you in today's episode of the Magdalene Voices. For all of the deeds and the details, find the show notes on my website, Mariaestela.com. Know that I would love to hear how it resonated with you and what you got from it. So tag me on Instagram or leave me a comment on either my website or YouTube. Finally, if it served you, please take a moment to share it with a friend or on social media. God bless.